What is up, everybody? Matt Modi here to give you 3 WNBA bangers for tomorrow's WNBA betting slate. So we got 4 games on tap for tomorrow. We're talking Tuesday, July 2nd. I'm going to have 3 plays for you guys to lock in. I just wanted to get this video out a little bit early so we have time to lock in all these bangers. It has admittedly been a rough season so far for the WNBA, mostly recently, like within the past maybe 10 days or so. Our losses have really started to come on. At the beginning of the year and as the season went on, we were kind of green, breaking even green. Well, recently it's been brutal. We're down 2.6 units on the season, with the majority of those losses all coming within the last, like I said, 7 to 10 to 14 days, something like that. So hopefully we are able to turn these things around with the 3 picks that we have for tomorrow's slate. If you are not already, would appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. And then if you're interested, check out my Dub Club. It's $5 a month to get all my plays sent directly to your phone. But let's get into tomorrow's betting slate. So as I mentioned, 4 games on tap for tomorrow. Play number 1, I'm taking the Liberty spread, -5, -112 odds at FanDuel. So really what we're doing here, we are immediately fading recent results. We are fading what we saw last week when the Lynx, I'm not going to say smoked, but they did beat the Liberty pretty comfortably last week. They played in the Commissioner's Cup. Kind of interesting. The Liberty were about the same level of favorites in terms of spread that they are for the game tomorrow, and they ended up losing that game by 5 points. Now, the Lynx were winning the majority of that game. The Liberty made it a game. The Lynx were beating the Liberty the majority of the game. Just want to make sure I said that correctly. Liberty made it a game towards the end. Brianna Stewart went on a ridiculous run in the fourth quarter, but mostly that game was comfortably in hand for the Lynx, which actually now makes the Lynx 2-0 against the Liberty so far this season. One win, they smoked them, and then the win last week was relatively comfortable. I'm fading that. I'm taking the Liberty to come out and cover the spread. Looking at the game, both teams are going to be well rested, basically the equal amount of rest. They both played on Saturday. The Dream is who the Liberty played on Saturday. The Liberty won that game by 6, and then the Lynx also played Saturday, beat the Sky by 8. So the same exact rest is what we're looking for here. In terms of the matchup, if you watched the video last week, it's going to be very similar to everything I said last week. If you missed last week's video, this is a battle of strength versus strength, and what these teams want to do going up against a team that defends that really well, looking at the Liberty offense versus the Lynx defense. Over the last 7 games, both teams are 6-1 straight up. The Liberty have the best net rating in the WNBA over the last 7 games. The Lynx have the second best net rating in the WNBA over the last 7 games. The Liberty have the best offense. The Lynx have the best defense. The Liberty play at the second fastest pace. The Lynx play at the third slowest pace. The Liberty have the best effective field goal percentage and the best true shooting percentage, while the Lynx allow the lowest effective field goal percentage in the WNBA. Very, very interesting matchup, right? The Liberty want to run fast. They want to shoot a bunch of 3-pointers, score a bunch of points. The Lynx try to do the opposite of that. They slow the game down. They don't let teams beat them from deep, and they win with tight defense. It's going to be really interesting. Last game, really what it came down to was 3-point shooting. Ionescu did have a good game. I had her under, so I know that for a fact. She did have a good game. She scored 23 points, but she was only 2 of 10 from deep. And the game was won for the Lynx at the 3-point line. The Lynx shot just about 50% from deep, while the Liberty shot about 40% from deep, and they had the exact same shot attempts. They both had 29 3-pointers. The Lynx made just under half. The Liberty made about 40%. That literally was the difference of the game. And that's something that I have a hard time seeing continue next game. The Liberty have been among the best, if not literally the best, shooting teams from deep in the WNBA. Looking over the last 7 games, they are both taking and making the most 3-pointers, while shooting at the second highest 3-point percent as well. It's pretty impressive taking the most attempts while also shooting at the second highest rate as well in terms of accuracy. That's pretty good. And the Lynx, yes, they do have a good defense. They're mostly middle of the pack when it comes to guarding the 3-point line. They're middle of the pack in terms of 3-point attempts allowed, and specifically with above the break 3-pointers allowed as well. So I kind of see the shooting flip a little bit from what it was last game, and I think that the Liberty are able to take care of business. That's our first play. Next up, I'm heading to the Aces game, and I'm taking a player prop here. A'ja Wilson over 26.5 points, -115 odds at DraftKings. So this one is going to be a player prop. It's our only player prop of the day as well, but this is a play that I absolutely love. If you just wanted the tail player props, I love this play. Number one, A'ja Wilson is amazing. She's she's the best player in the WNBA. She's going to win MVP of the WNBA for very, very good reason. She's averaging 27 points per game, and she's hit this over in 11 of 16 games as well. Normally, I want to fade those results, seeing that she's gone over in 11 of 16. Not in this game, not in this matchup. She has a phenomenal matchup to score against the Fever. Like, where she scores on the court is where the Fever defense is weak, and the Fever defense is weak in a lot of places, to be fair. What makes Wilson so good is how good she is at drawing contact and getting to the line. Over the last 10 games, she's averaging 8.7 free throw attempts per game. That leads the WNBA by a pretty decent amount. The next closest player is at 7.1, and again, she's all the way up at 8.7. She also makes 87.4% of her free throws as well in that span, so not like this is a Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq situation or anything like that. She actually makes her free throws. And unsurprisingly, when you look at where A'ja Wilson scores, majority of her points come from the free throw line. 20% of that 27 points per game that comes at the line. Looking at the Fever, they foul at literally the highest rate in the WNBA over the last 10 games. They are allowing their opponents attempt 21.7 free throws per game. That leads the WNBA. So that's the number one category in which A'ja Wilson scores. Number two, the area in which she scores the second most of her points is via spot up. The Fever allow the fourth most points per game to spot up shooters. And then third, A'ja Wilson scores the third most of her points in the paint. Or posting up, I should say, posting up. And the Fever allow the second most paint points, post points, in the WNBA. Overall, you look at the top 5 areas in which A'ja Wilson scores. The Fever defense ranges from literally the worst category, like they are at getting to the line, all the way to fourth worst and everything in between. So there's no scenario in the top 5 places that A'ja Wilson scores where the Fever defense is above average at guarding that. It's the perfect matchup for her to score a bunch of points, and we get to fade recent results as well. She scored 11 points her last game out, her worst game of the year by far. She only shot 4 of 15. So last time she played the Fever, she scored 29 points after having a bad game last game. More likely that she has a good game heading into this one, so hopefully that does happen. She comes through cashing this over for us. That's our second play. Third and final pick of the video. I'm taking the Mystics plus 1.5, -120 odds at BetMGM. This is another play that I absolutely love. Just love this play. The Mystics to cover the spread. Somehow they're underdogs in this one, which I think they should be favored. And I get why they're underdogs, right? Like if you look at the entire season, not just recent sample size, the Mystics had a horrible start to the year. They started 0-12. It was dark, it was bleak, it was terrible. Since then, the Mystics have actually gone 4-3, but not only looking at wins and losses, they have the 4th best net rating in that stretch as well. They literally have a better net rating than the Sun and the Aces in their last 7 games and since June 10th. That's when they started 0-12. Since then, they've been pretty decently good. That's 3 weeks now where the Mystics haven't been horrible, and actually you could even make the argument that they've been pretty good. Some pretty impressive performances in that stretch as well. They took the Sun to OT in that stretch. Probably should have beat them, but they didn't. But still, the Sun were the best team in the WNBA for most of the season. The Mystics took them to overtime, lost very close game. They blew out the Wings. They won that game by 18. Now, I'm not saying the Wings are any good, but the Mystics did more than just take care of business against them. They smoked them. They should also be able to smoke the Sparks, who have been terrible in the same stretch in which the Mystics have been good. The Sparks, they're reeling after losing Cameron Brink, beloved rookie, torn ACL, going to be out forever. That's just a gut punch to a team that doesn't have a lot going for them. And they really, like I said, they have not played well recently. In that same stretch, since June 10th, the Sparks are 0-7 with the 2nd worst net rating in the WNBA. I think that the Mystics not only should be getting points, they should be favored here, let alone getting 1.5 points from BetMGM. So I love this play. Third and final pick of the video. Let's hope that we have 3-0. Again, gets us in the green. That would be amazing. 2-1, or I should say 3-1 gets us on the green on the entire season. 2-1 gets us green for this specific video. We're hoping for 3-0. Let's see if that happens. Again, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and have a good one.